It was a quiet night in the Atacama Desert of Chile, where one of the world's most advanced telescopes stood tall against the vast expanse of stars. For centuries, humanity had looked up at the sky with awe and curiosity, wondering if they were alone in the universe. On this particular evening, however, something extraordinary happened, something that would change everything forever. Inside the control room of the observatory, Dr. Elena Ramirez sat hunched over her computer screen, sipping lukewarm coffee while analyzing data from the telescope. She wasn't expecting anything unusual. After all, it was just another routine observation session. But then she saw it, a faint blip near Saturn's orbit that didn't match any known celestial object. At first, she thought it might be an error or perhaps some stray piece of space debris. After all, humans had sent countless satellites and probes into space over the years. Maybe one of them had malfunctioned and drifted off course? But as Elena zoomed in on the image, her heart skipped a beat. Whatever it wasn't small. It wasn't natural either. The shape was too perfect, too angular to belong to anything made by nature. Her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the settings on her monitor, trying to get a clearer view. What she saw next made her gasp aloud. The object was enormous, far larger than any asteroid or comet ever recorded. Its silhouette resembled a dagger slicing through the darkness of space. It wasn't moving erratically like a meteor would. Instead, it seemed to hover silently, almost deliberately, as though waiting for something or someone. Elena immediately notified her colleagues, who rushed to the control room to see for themselves. Together, they ran multiple scans, cross-referencing the data with every database available. Nothing matched. This thing was unlike anything anyone had ever encountered before. Whispers filled the room as panic began to creep in. Was it a new kind of satellite? A secret military experiment gone wrong? Or something else entirely? Word traveled fast within scientific circles. Within hours, astronomers around the globe turned their telescopes toward the mysterious object. As more images poured in, the picture became clearer and more alarming. The thing near Saturn wasn't alone. Other shapes began to emerge from behind it, slowly drifting into view. Dozens of them. They were massive, each one easily dwarfing Earth's largest cities. Their designs varied slightly, but they shared a common feature. They looked artificial. There was no doubt about it now. These weren't random rocks floating in space. These were ships. Social media exploded as amateur. Stargazers captured blurry footage of the fleet using backyard telescopes. Conspiracy theories ran rampant. Some claimed it was evidence of ancient alien civilizations visiting Earth. Others insisted it was proof of government cover-ups involving extraterrestrial contact. But deep down, everyone knew the truth. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. Governments scrambled to respond. Emergency meetings were held in secret bunkers, with world leaders debating how to handle the situation. Military forces went on high alert, preparing for the worst-case scenario. Satellites were repositioned to monitor the fleet's movements, and nuclear arsenals were placed on standby. Yet, despite the chaos unfolding below, the ships remained eerily still, not advancing toward Earth, but also not leaving. It was as if they were observing, watching, waiting. Back at the observatory, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to happen. She spent sleepless nights poring over the data, searching for answers. Why were these ships here? What did they want, and why hadn't they attacked yet? Every question led to more uncertainty, more fear. Humanity had always dreamed of meeting intelligent life beyond Earth. But now that dream felt more like a nightmare. As days passed, tensions continued to rise. Protesters took to the streets, demanding answers from their governments. Religious leaders called for prayer and repentance, claiming the end times were upon them. Scientists worked around the clock, hoping to find some way to communicate with the fleet. But communication required trust, and trust was in short supply when faced with the unknown. Then came the moment that changed everything. One of the ships broke formation and started moving, not toward Earth but closer to the inner planets. Its speed increased rapidly, and soon it was clear that it was heading straight for Jupiter. Observatories trained their lenses on the planet, capturing every detail as the ship approached. When it finally reached its destination, it didn't stop. Instead, it entered Jupiter's atmosphere, disappearing from sight. For a brief moment, there was hope. Perhaps the ship was merely refueling or conducting research. Maybe it wasn't hostile after all. But then, something strange happened. The other ships began to shift positions, forming what appeared to be a defensive perimeter around their original location near Saturn. Whatever they were planning, it was becoming increasingly obvious that Earth was part of the equation. In the days that followed, rumors spread of classified documents being leaked online. According to the reports, humanity wasn't entirely unprepared for this kind of threat. Deep beneath the surface of the Earth, hidden away in secret facilities, lay evidence of a project so ambitious, so audacious, that it bordered on science fiction. Known only as Erebus, it was humanity's last line of defense, a fleet of starships built in anticipation of exactly this kind of scenario. No one outside the highest levels of government knew whether the rumors were true. But if they were, it meant one thing: humanity wasn't going down without a fight. Whether the ships near Saturn were friends, foes, or something in between, Earth was ready to show them that even the smallest planet could pack a punch. And so, the stage was set. Humanity stood on the brink of discovery, fear, and possibly salvation. The universe had finally taken notice of Earth, and nothing would ever be the same again. As the world grappled with the reality of alien ships lurking near Saturn, whispers of a secret project began to surface. These rumors weren't born out of idle speculation. They were rooted in decades-old intelligence that had been buried under layers of secrecy. It all started during the height of the Cold War, a time when humanity was more focused on destroying itself than looking to the stars. But even then, some minds within governments and scientific communities dared to ask the question, what if we're not alone? In the late 1960s, just as humans were taking their first steps on the moon, intercepted radio signals suggested something extraordinary. Buried deep within static-filled transmissions from outer space, analysts detected patterns too complex to be random noise. At first, skeptics dismissed it as interference or equipment malfunctions, but further analysis revealed undeniable evidence. These signals carried information, possibly even messages. The implications were staggering. If intelligent life existed beyond Earth, humanity needed to prepare, not just for contact but for survival. Thus, Project Erebus was born. Named after the primordial god of darkness in Greek mythology, it became one of the most ambitious and secretive endeavors in human history. Hidden in remote locations across the globe, from underground bunkers beneath the Nevada desert to icy research stations in Antarctica, teams of engineers, physicists, and strategists worked tirelessly to develop technology far beyond anything publicly known. Their goal was simple yet terrifying: create a fleet of starships capable of defending Earth against any extraterrestrial threat. For decades, Erebus remained shrouded in mystery. Only a handful of people knew its true purpose, and fewer still understood the scope of what they were building. Funding came from black budgets, siphoned off from military spending without oversight. Scientists who joined the project signed non-disclosure agreements so strict that violating them meant imprisonment. Or worse, pilots were recruited under false pretenses, trained in simulated environments without knowing why. To the outside world, these individuals simply vanished, leaving behind unanswered questions and grieving families. The challenges were immense. Building spacecraft capable of interstellar travel required breakthroughs in propulsion systems, materials science, and energy generation. Early prototypes failed spectacularly, exploding on launch pads or disintegrating upon re-entry. Yet each failure brought lessons, inching humanity closer to success. By the early 2000s, progress accelerated thanks to advances in quantum computing and artificial intelligence. Slowly but surely, the pieces of Erebus began to come together. At the heart of the project lay three key innovations. First was the quantum core drive, a revolutionary engine powered by harnessing zero-point energy, a theoretical source of limitless power derived from the fabric of space-time itself. Second was the adaptive armor plating, a nanotech-infused material capable of repairing itself mid-battle while deflecting high-energy attacks. Finally, there was the arcane array, a weapon system combining plasma cannons, EMP bursts, and gravity manipulators into a single devastating arsenal. Together, these technologies transformed Erebus from a pipe dream into a tangible force. By the time news broke about the alien armada near Saturn, Erebus had quietly grown into a fleet of 12 star destroyers. Each vessel stretched over 2 kilometers in length, bristling with weapons and shielded by cutting-edge defenses. They were designed not only to protect Earth, but also to strike fear into any would-be invaders. Sleek and menacing, they bore no national flags or insignias. Instead, their hulls gleamed with an iridescent sheen, reflecting the light of distant stars like mirrors of defiance. When the decision was made to activate Erebus, the process unfolded with military precision. Crews stationed at hidden facilities received coded messages instructing them to report for duty. Pilots climbed aboard their ships, strapping themselves into cockpits equipped with holographic displays and neural interfaces. Engineers ran final checks on reactors and weapon systems, ensuring everything functioned flawlessly. Meanwhile, command centers buzzed with activity as generals and scientists coordinated the deployment. On the day of activation, the world held its breath. In orbit above Earth, disguised among satellites and debris, Erebus awaited its moment. Then, with a flash of light brighter than 1,000 suns, the fleet emerged from concealment. One by one, the star destroyers revealed themselves, positioning between Earth and the approaching alien armada. For the first time, humanity saw its own creations in action, and the sight was awe-inspiring. News outlets around the globe broadcast live footage of the Erebus fleet, capturing reactions ranging from disbelief to outright jubilation. Commentators struggled to describe the sheer scale and majesty of the ships. Some likened them to mythical dragons, breathing fire and guarding their territory. Others called them angels of vengeance, sent to protect humanity from forces beyond comprehension. Whatever the metaphor, one thing was clear. Earth wasn't defenseless anymore. But even as pride swelled in the hearts of many, doubts lingered. Could Erebus truly stand up to the alien fleet? After all, these ships had traversed unimaginable distances to reach Earth. Surely their technology rivaled, if not surpassed, that of humanity. What if Erebus failed? What if the aliens had already anticipated this move? These fears weighed heavily on those in charge. Inside secure command centers, leaders debated the next steps. Should they wait for the aliens to make the first move? Or should they launch a preemptive strike, hoping to catch them off guard? Every option carried risks, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. One wrong decision could doom humanity forever. Amidst the uncertainty, pilots aboard the Erebus fleet prepared for whatever lay ahead. Among them was Captain Marcus Hale, a decorated officer chosen to lead the flagship, Eclipse. A veteran of countless simulations, Marcus had spent years training for battles he never believed would happen. Now, staring out at the alien armada, through his cockpit window he felt a mix of exhilaration and dread. This wasn't a drill. This was real. As orders filtered down from command, Marcus addressed his crew over the comm system. "Listen up," he said, his voice steady despite the tension crackling in the air. "We've trained for this moment our entire lives. Today, we show the universe that Earth isn't just a speck of dust floating in the void. We're survivors. We're fighters, and we won't back down." His words echoed throughout the fleet, rallying spirits and steeling nerves. Outside, the alien ships remained ominously still, their intentions unclear. Were they allies seeking refuge? Enemies bent on conquest or something else entirely? No one knew for sure. But one thing was certain. Humanity's fate now rested in the hands of Erebus and the brave men and women who commanded it. As the standoff continued, humanity clung to hope. For centuries, they had looked to the stars with wonder and longing. Now they faced them with resolve and determination. The aliens may have thought Earth was weak, vulnerable, and easy to conquer, but they were about to discover otherwise. Behind the planet they sought to invade stood a force unlike anything they had ever encountered. A force forged in secrecy, tempered by fear, and driven by the unyielding will to survive. And so, the stage was set for the ultimate confrontation. With Erebus standing guard, humanity took its first step onto the galactic stage, not as victims but as warriors ready to defend their home at any cost. The tension between Earth and the alien fleet near Saturn reached a boiling point. Days had passed since Erebus, humanity's secret weapon, revealed itself to the universe. 12 massive star destroyers now stood as guardians between Earth and the mysterious Armada. The world watched with bated breath, unsure whether peace or war would follow. Meanwhile, aboard the flagship Eclipse, Captain Marcus Hale and his crew prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. It was during one of these tense standoffs that the first real communication attempt came, not from Earth, but from the aliens. Without warning, one of their ships broke formation and accelerated toward the Erebus fleet. Panic rippled through command centers around the globe. Was this an attack, a show of force, or something else entirely? As the alien vessel approached, it transmitted a signal, a string of complex data pulses encoded in a language no human could decipher. Scientists scrambled to decode the message, working around the clock to make sense of it. After hours of painstaking effort, linguists and cryptographers managed to translate fragments of the transmission. The words sent chills down everyone's spines. "We are here to negotiate. Your survival depends on cooperation." The message sparked confusion and skepticism. Negotiate? Survival? What did they mean? Humanity had anticipated hostility, not diplomacy. Yet before anyone could respond, another transmission followed. But this time, it wasn't from the aliens. It came from Erebus. Hidden until now, the human-built star destroyers activated their own communication systems, broadcasting a stern reply. "Identify yourselves and state your intentions," the voice declared, firm and unyielding. It was a bold move, showcasing humanity's newfound confidence. For years, humans had feared what lay beyond the stars. Now they were demanding answers. Tuo, alien ship, hesitated briefly before responding. This time the message was clearer, almost pleading. "We fled here. We seek refuge. Please hear us out." The tone was desperate, almost human-like, but trust didn't come easily, not when lives were at stake. World leaders convened emergency meetings, debating how to proceed. Should they believe the aliens? Could they afford to take the risk? While politicians argued, scientists worked tirelessly to verify the aliens' claims. Telescopes and sensors scanned their ships, searching for signs of aggression or deception. To everyone's surprise, the scans revealed something unexpected: damage. Deep gashes marred the hulls of several alien vessels, and energy readings suggested their power supplies were dwindling. Whatever they had fled from, it had left scars, both physical and psychological. Still, skepticism lingered. Were they telling the truth, or was this a clever ruse to lower humanity's guard? The answer came unexpectedly when the alien commander shared visual footage captured by their ships. The images showed horrors unlike anything humans had ever imagined. A swarm of mechanical entities tearing through planets, consuming everything in their path. These machines, which the aliens called the Zalthar, moved like locusts, leaving behind barren wastelands where thriving civilizations once stood. Despite the evidence, many remained unconvinced. Trust required more than just words and pictures. It required proof. Reluctantly, the aliens agreed to provide additional data, including coordinates to regions of space devastated by the Zalthar. Human probes dispatched to those locations confirmed the devastation firsthand. Entire star systems reduced to ash, planets stripped bare of resources, life extinguished without mercy. With each new revelation, humanity's perspective shifted. Perhaps these aliens weren't invaders after all. Perhaps they were refugees, fleeing a threat far greater than anything Earth had faced. But accepting this reality meant making a choice: side with former enemies or face annihilation alone. Inside the command center of Eclipse, Captain Marcus Hale wrestled with the weight of responsibility. His duty was clear, to protect Earth at all costs. Yet he couldn't ignore the growing sense that humanity's fate was intertwined with the aliens. If the Zalthar posed such a grave danger, then cooperation might be the only way to survive. After days of deliberation, world leaders finally reached a decision. Humanity would extend a tentative hand of friendship, but with conditions. The aliens would share their knowledge and technology, helping to bolster Earth's defenses. In return, Erebus would escort them to a safe zone within Earth's solar system, allowing them to regroup and recover. Both sides understood the risks involved, but there was no other viable path forward. The agreement marked a historic moment, the first formal contact between humans and an extraterrestrial species. As negotiations continued, engineers from both factions worked together to establish a secure communication network. Language barriers slowly dissolved as AI algorithms translated conversations in real time. Despite lingering mistrust, bonds began to form. Pilots exchanged stories of battles fought and lost. Scientists shared theories about the origins of the Zalthar, and ordinary people on Earth marveled at the sight of alien emissaries appearing on television screens, speaking halting but heartfelt messages of gratitude. But not everyone welcomed this newfound alliance. Protesters took to the streets, accusing governments of prioritizing aliens over their own citizens. Conspiracy theorists claimed the entire scenario was fabricated to distract from earthly problems. Others simply refused to accept the existence of intelligent life beyond Earth, dismissing the aliens as elaborate hoaxes. Amidst the chaos, Captain Hale remained focused on the mission. He knew that unity, fragile as it was humanity's greatest strength. With Erebus leading the way, the combined fleet set course for a distant asteroid belt, chosen as a temporary sanctuary for the aliens. Along the way, joint patrols kept watch for any sign of the Zalthar. Every hour brought relief and renewed fear. Would the machines follow the aliens here? Could Earth withstand such an onslaught? For now, the uneasy partnership held. Humans and aliens worked side by side, pooling resources and expertise to prepare for the inevitable confrontation. Erebus served as the backbone of their efforts, its advanced weaponry and defenses augmented by alien innovations. Together, they devised strategies to combat the Zalthar, combining brute force with cunning tactics. Yet, even as plans solidified, questions lingered. Why had the Zalthar targeted the aliens? What drove these machines to destroy entire civilizations? And most importantly, could humanity truly hold its ground against such a relentless foe? Answers would come soon enough. Reports indicated unusual activity along the edge of the solar system, energy signatures consistent with the Zalthar's profile. They were coming, faster than expected. Time was running out. As the alien fleet settled into their temporary refuge, Captain Hale addressed his crew once again. "This is it," he said, his voice steady but laced with urgency. "We've trained for this. We've prepared for this. Now, we fight, not just for ourselves, but for every living being in this galaxy. Let's show them what happens when you mess with Earth." His words resonated throughout the fleet, rallying spirits and steeling resolve. Outside, the vast expanse of space stretched endlessly, silent and cold. Somewhere beyond the horizon, the Zalthar approached, their metallic forms glinting ominously in the light of distant stars. Humanity had faced countless challenges throughout history. Wars, plagues, natural disasters, all had tested their resilience, but none compared to what lay ahead. And so, with Erebus standing guard and humanity united under a single banner, the stage was set for the ultimate battle. Fear still lingered, but hope burned brighter than ever. For the first time, Earth wasn't alone. Together with their unlikely allies, humanity prepared to face the darkness head-on, determined to prove that even the smallest spark could ignite courage in the face of despair. The moment humanity had dreaded and prepared for finally arrived. The Zalthar were coming and they weren't slowing down. Scans from Erebus and alien sensors confirmed their approach, a massive swarm of self-replicating machines advancing toward the solar system with terrifying speed. These entities moved like a storm, consuming everything in their path. Their metallic forms shimmered ominously as they reflected the light of distant stars, creating an eerie glow that sent chills down the spines of those watching. Inside the command center aboard Eclipse, Captain Marcus Hale studied the data streaming across holographic displays. The sheer size of the swarm was staggering. Millions of machines working in perfect synchronization, each one capable of dismantling entire planets. They didn't just destroy, they consumed resources to build more of themselves, growing exponentially with every passing hour. If they reached Earth, there would be no survivors, no second chances. Despite the grim outlook, humanity refused to surrender. With Erebus leading the charge, humans and aliens worked together to devise a plan. It wasn't enough to simply fight back. They needed a strategy to stop the Zalthar permanently. After days of brainstorming, engineers and scientists proposed a daring solution: lure the swarm into a trap using decoy signals emitted from remote sectors of space. Once the machines were concentrated in one area, Erebus would unleash a weapon adapted from alien blueprints, a pulse designed to disrupt the Zalthar's ability to replicate. It was a risky plan, requiring precision timing and absolute coordination. Any mistake could result in catastrophic failure, leaving Earth vulnerable to annihilation. But there was no other choice. As preparations continued, tensions ran high among the crew. Pilots rehearsed maneuvers endlessly, while engineers double-checked every system on the Star Destroyers. Everyone knew what was at stake, not just their lives, but the future of all life in the galaxy. Finally, the day came. The fleet moved into position near the Kuiper Belt, a region of icy debris beyond Neptune's orbit. Here they deployed hundreds of drones equipped with powerful transmitters, broadcasting signals mimicking the energy signatures of habitable planets. The goal was simple, yet perilous: trick the Zalthar into thinking they'd found another world to consume. Meanwhile, Erebus and the alien ships formed a defensive perimeter, ready to engage if the machines detected the ruse. Hours passed as the fleet waited in silence. Then, it happened. Sensors picked up movement. The swarm had taken the bait. Like moths drawn to a flame, the Zalthar surged toward the decoys, their numbers blotting out the stars behind them. The sight was both awe-inspiring and horrifying. Each machine was roughly the size of a small city, bristling with weapons and harvesting tools. As they closed in on the drones, Erebus activated its engines, moving closer to intercept. Engage. Phase 1, Captain Hale ordered, his voice calm but commanding. At his signal, the drones released bursts of electromagnetic interference, further confusing the Zalthar's targeting systems. For a brief moment, the machines faltered, their movements becoming erratic. It was the opening Erebus needed. With a deafening roar, plasma torpedoes erupted from the Star Destroyers, slamming into the swarm with devastating force. Alien fighters darted through the chaos, firing beams of energy that sliced through the metallic bodies of the machines. Explosions lit up the void of space, casting eerie shadows across the hulls of the ships. Despite the initial success, however, the battle was far from over. For every Zalthar destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. Back aboard Eclipse, alarms blared as enemy fire struck the ship's shields. Engineers scrambled to reinforce weakened sections, while gunners returned fire with relentless determination. Captain Hale gripped the edges of his console, watching the carnage unfold. He knew this was only the beginning. The real test would come when the swarm realized the decoys were fake and turned their full attention to the fleet. As predicted, the Zalthar quickly adapted. They redirected their efforts, focusing on Erebus and the alien vessels. Wave after wave of machines descended upon them, overwhelming defenses and testing the limits of human ingenuity. Shields flickered dangerously low and hull breaches forced some ships to retreat. Yet, despite the mounting casualties, the Alliance held firm. Every pilot gave their all, Every engineer pushed their equipment to the brink, and every soldier fought with unwavering resolve. Then, just as hope began to waver, the alien commander transmitted a message. "Prepare the pulse," he said, his tone urgent but steady. "We must act now." Captain Hale nodded, relaying the order to the rest of the fleet. Deep within the bowels of Eclipse, technicians activated the experimental weapon, a device powered by quantum energy and calibrated to emit frequencies capable of disrupting the Zalthar's replication process. The countdown began. 10 minutes. 9. 8. Outside, the battle raged on, with Erebus taking heavy damage. Alien fighters weaved through explosions, buying precious time for the weapon to charge. Pilots shouted updates over comms channels, their voices strained, but resolute. Back on Earth, billions watched live broadcasts, praying for victory against impossible odds. When the timer hit 0, Captain Hale gave the final command. "Fire the pulse." A brilliant flash of light erupted from Eclipse, spreading outward in a wide arc. The energy wave washed over the swarm, bathing the machines in pulsating frequencies. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then cracks began to form along the surface of the Zalthar. Pieces broke off, tumbling into the void. Replication ceased entirely, leaving the swarm unable to replenish its losses. For the first time since the battle began, the tide turned. Without reinforcements, the remaining Zalthar became vulnerable. Erebus unleashed another barrage of torpedoes, while alien fighters circled back to deliver the killing blows. One by one, the machines disintegrated, their metallic husks drifting aimlessly through space. Hours later, the last remnants of the swarm retreated into deep space, fleeing the scene of their defeat. Exhaustion swept through the fleet as cheers erupted across the comms network. Against all odds, humanity and its allies had triumphed. The Zalthar threat had been neutralized for now, but the cost had been immense. Ships lay in ruins, their crews lost forever. Wounds, both physical and emotional, would take years to heal. As the dust settled, Captain Hale addressed his crew once again. "We did it," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Not because we were stronger or smarter, but because we stood together. Today, we proved that even the smallest spark can ignite hope in the darkest void." His words resonated throughout the fleet, echoing the sentiment shared by billions on Earth. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged victorious. No longer isolated, Earth took its place among the stars, not as victims but as survivors united by courage and determination. And though the scars of battle would remain, so too would the lessons learned. That unity is strength, and survival depends not on power alone, but on the willingness to stand alongside others in the face of adversity. In the end, the universe had witnessed something extraordinary. Earth, once considered insignificant, had risen to meet the greatest challenge imaginable and prevailed. The battle against the Zalthar had ended, but its impact rippled across the galaxy. The victory was hard-fought and costly, leaving scars on both humanity and their newfound alien allies. Ships lay in ruins, floating as silent monuments to those who gave everything to protect Earth. Yet amidst the wreckage there was hope, a fragile but undeniable sense that something greater had emerged from the ashes of war. For the first time in recorded history, humanity stood shoulder to shoulder with an extraterrestrial species. Together, they had faced a threat so overwhelming that survival seemed impossible. But through cooperation, innovation, and sheer determination, they had turned the tables on the Zalthar. This alliance marked the beginning of a new chapter, not just for Earth, but for all intelligent life in the universe. In the days following the battle, cleanup operations began. Recovery teams scoured space, salvaging what they could from destroyed ships and gathering data to better understand the Zalthar. Scientists worked tirelessly to analyze the remnants of the machines, searching for clues about their origin and purpose. What they discovered sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The Zalthar weren't natural entities. They were artificial constructs, created by an ancient civilization long extinct. possibly as tools or weapons gone rogue. Their design suggested they had been programmed to evolve independently, adapting to overcome any obstacle in their quest for resources. This revelation raised more questions than answers. Who had built them? Why had they turned against their creators? And most importantly, how many other swarms existed out there, lurking in the vastness of space? Humanity realized it couldn't afford to let its guard down. The Zalthar may have retreated, but they hadn't been eradicated. Someday they might return, and next time humanity needed to be ready. With this daunting reality in mind, leaders from Earth and the alien fleet convened aboard Eclipse to discuss the future. It was a historic moment, the first formal summit between humans and extraterrestrials. Representatives sat around a circular table, exchanging ideas and forging plans to ensure mutual protection. Language barriers no longer posed a problem. Advanced translation algorithms allowed seamless communication, bridging gaps that once seemed insurmountable. One proposal gained unanimous support: the establishment of a joint defense network spanning multiple star systems. Dubbed the Galactic Accord, this initiative aimed to unite civilizations under a shared banner of peace and security. Erebus would serve as the cornerstone of the Accord's military forces, while alien technology provided crucial enhancements to detection and defense systems. Early warning stations would be placed at strategic points throughout the galaxy, monitoring for signs of Zalthar activity or any other threats that might arise. But the Accord wasn't just about defense. It also sought to foster collaboration in science, culture, and exploration. For centuries, humanity had dreamed of venturing beyond its solar system, seeking knowledge and connection among the stars. Now, with allies by their side, those dreams became achievable. Joint expeditions were planned to explore uncharted regions of space, uncovering mysteries hidden within nebulae, black holes, and distant planets. Schools and universities introduced courses on alien languages, biology, and history, inspiring a generation of young minds to embrace diversity and curiosity. Back on Earth, the effects of the Accord transformed society. Fear of the unknown gave way to fascination and wonder. People marveled at images of alien landscapes transmitted from faraway worlds. Artists drew inspiration from alien architecture. Musicians incorporated unfamiliar sounds into their compositions, and chefs experimented with recipes based on alien ingredients. Even skeptics found themselves drawn into conversations about what it meant to belong to a larger galactic community. Yet not everyone welcomed these changes. Resistance groups emerged, accusing governments of prioritizing alien interests over human needs. Protests erupted in major cities, demanding stricter controls on immigration and trade with extraterrestrial species. Some extremists even called for the dissolution of the Accord, claiming humanity should focus solely on protecting itself rather than risking entanglement in interstellar politics. Despite these challenges, progress continued. Captain Marcus Hale became a symbol of unity, his leadership during the battle earning him widespread admiration. He traveled the globe, addressing crowds and urging them to embrace the opportunities ahead. "We've always defined ourselves by our differences," he said during one speech, "by borders, languages, and beliefs. But today, we stand united, not because we're the same, but because we share a common goal: survival. Let us build a future where cooperation triumphs over conflict, where curiosity conquers fear." His words resonated deeply, sparking movements dedicated to promoting harmony between humans and aliens. Educational programs taught children about the importance of empathy and understanding, emphasizing that strength came not from division but from unity. Slowly but surely, resistance faded, replaced by acceptance and optimism. Meanwhile, Erebus underwent extensive upgrades, incorporating alien advancements to enhance its capabilities. Quantum core drives became faster and more efficient, allowing ships to traverse light years in mere hours. Adaptive armor plating grew stronger, capable of withstanding even the most devastating attacks. Weapon systems evolved, harnessing energy sources previously thought impossible to control. With each improvement, humanity's confidence soared, knowing they now possessed the means to defend themselves and others. As months passed, the Galactic Accord expanded, welcoming additional members from nearby star systems. Each new arrival brought unique perspectives and innovations, enriching the collective pool of knowledge. Trade routes flourished, connecting planets separated by unimaginable distances. Cultural exchanges sparked creativity and innovation, leading to breakthroughs in medicine, engineering, and art. Humanity learned to see itself not as the center of the universe, but as part of a vast tapestry woven from countless threads. Still, reminders of the Zalthar lingered. Patrols reported occasional sightings of rogue machines drifting through deep space. Too few to pose a significant threat, but enough to keep everyone vigilant. Research facilities studied captured specimens, working to develop countermeasures in case the swarm returned. Meanwhile, reconnaissance missions ventured further into the cosmos, searching for traces of the Zalthar's creators, or evidence of similar dangers lurking in the void. Through it all, humanity remained steadfast. No longer content to exist in isolation, Earth embraced its role as a beacon of resilience and hope. Its people looked to the stars with pride, knowing they had earned their place among the stars, not through conquest or aggression, but through courage and collaboration. And so the story of humanity's encounter with the Zalthar became legend, a tale told across generations, inspiring awe and gratitude. From the quiet observatory in Chile where it all began to the sprawling command centers aboard Erebus, every step of the journey served as proof that even the smallest planet could shine brightly in the darkest corners of the universe. In the end, the universe learned two truths. Never underestimate Earth, and sometimes even the smallest spark can ignite hope in the deepest void.